Hello everyone and welcome to my next video. Today, I spoiled already in my last video, we're going to look into my first shader. It's a very simple one, so even if you don't know what a shader is, I will tell you. And we can see that the animated sprite of the player contains a material. So it's a shader material, of course, and it's this little, very easy, so we can even delete the vertex and the light. I don't know if I might use them in the future, so I left them empty. But as all shader, it's auto-generated by Godot. If you open a new shader, it's a canvas item, and as you can see, all the magic happens within these 3 lines. So really a simple shader, the easiest you can find maybe, or the most simple one would be just to define a color. But in this example, I'm going to show you how to add this red shader that is displaying when the player was hit by an enemy. So, as you see, I defined a gradient, and this is only, or maybe if you don't know the how a shader works, I should maybe explain in 1 or 2 sentences, because a shader doesn't know a status before or after, it's just the current position in time, if you want. So that's why we are taking a sinus function here, and time is an internal variable, a constant, so every frame time is counting up. So if we use a sinus function, we would get such a wave. What we are actually getting here, you see, it's fading in, it's fading out, it's fading in, it's fading out, and those are just variables that I found by trying out a little bit, and it's the x position, so it moves from here to here, and we always take the absolute value, so there are no negative values. For example, if I would change this to UV, so you see now it's it has changed from the bottom to top, but it's still the same function. And as we are here in the minus area, as well as if we go down, this is also minus, this is minus, minus, and the UV positions, you can say it's here, upper left corner is -1, upper right corner +1, this would be the lower right corner would be +1 on x and +1 on y, and the same here, it's +1 for x, for y, and -1 for x. So just always values between 0 here, +1, -1, to keep in mind. So when I change now to UVY, it changed the direction from before it was right to left, and that is what I want to have. So I change it back. It takes a second, and now the shader works again. You could also do a second gradient to put it on the y-axis, but I leave it that way just to keep it simple. So, and texture is also a internal shader function, and the texture with capital letters is the sprite itself. So we will put into the texture function the current texture, and UV is the absolute I didn't put the x or y coordinate, so it's a position by pixel. You always have to remember that what is written here in the comment, that for every pixel of a sprite, the fragment function is called by the GPU. That is very important. So it's a calculation that runs on the GPU and not on the CPU. That's why we need some strange mathematical functions sometimes to achieve something, because, as I already said, the shader does not have a past or a future. It's always the current frame that is calculated. So if you want to have something like this wave function, then you need to operate with a time and a sinus or a cosinus or something. So that's how the gradient is calculated, and the vector 4, of course, is because the texture is a vector x and y axis for a 2D sprite, and UV has also x and y, so you could translate it as 4 coordinates that are given to the texture function, so the texture itself gives back a vector 4. And now, this is maybe also important, because you can see that I don't change of the temp color, temporary color, the green and the blue, and the A is the alpha value for transparency. So they always stay the same, but the gradient that we are calculating here, float gradient, is only applied to the red. To demonstrate this, I control exit here. Now we get the standard sprite, and now I put it into the green, and we will get an effect, for instance, as if the player was poisoned, or in my game I'm using green for the hunger, so the player gets hungry over time. So I could maybe apply this shader to display that the player is now hungry, and if we control X this again and put it to the blue color, then maybe he's thirsty. But I want to do this in my example with the bars, the hunger and the thirst bar in the UI. So I only want to display that the player was hit by an enemy. So as you can see, the shader is always applied. So how I will save this. I will keep it as it was. So that was the player shader GD. But I also have player shader G. That was player GD shader. What we are looking here. Here it is written. Sorry, player GD shader is the function that I just showed you here. In the shader editor you can find on the bottom of the screen. So associated to this here, you can see on the right, is a script, and this script is player shader GD. So I need to go into player shader GD, and then we have this script, and here you can see that I'm switching the material. So currently in the process function I check if player starts player hit. Okay, let's look at this one as well. So in players function there is a global variable. We already discussed player stats is a global script. So player hit is always false. And of course, if we go to the player knows when he was hit. So hurt by enemy is a function for that. So here we set it on true. Wait a little bit, 1 second, and then put it on false again. So in this time, this second, the player hit is true. And so during that time, player shader hit is true, and we switch on that material. So as I said, we could do it, define other materials as well, and show if the player was poisoned or is hungry or is thirsty, something like that. And if player hit is false, I set self material to null. So we get the sprite, animated sprite here, to the default as it is. And as this is put over the current animation frame, directly on the animated sprite, it doesn't matter if the player is walking or death or what. No, death, of course, I don't switch on the player hit. It would be false if the player dies. But whenever he walks, in all animations where he walks and is hit, it's the same result, because the shader material takes, as I already explained, the current frame of the animation. Or if he is idle and gets hit, then of course those two frames show the material. But in the development, it's always, because the shader is applied to the sprite, animated sprite, you will see always the result of the current shader. So, and I might, if we go into the world here, and then I have those canvas layer items here, player health bar, hunger bar, and the thirst bar. So I could also apply materials to them as well. Currently they are empty, and then maybe achieve the same what I already showed you to the blue channel, and then I get the same wave function to make the blue bar show you directly in the UI that the player was hit. So I hope that this was clear and understandable, and that's it for this video. Leave a comment and like and subscribe, or if you have any answers because that was too confusing, I might answer your questions in the comment section below this video. So, thanks for watching, take care and see you next time. Bye.